Crystal from Everyday Women's Soccer and Find Your Football. How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. Happy to be here.
Awesome.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back,
Thanks.
Crystal.
Hey, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
TC Waj. PJ is also back after his hiatus. He's been traveling around, dancing and singing with Joy Fatone from NSYNC down
Yeah.
down in Florida. How's everybody?
Hey, good man. I saw a lot of. I was in Orlando. There was a lot of Palmeiras jerseys. I don't know if Kaká like brought them there, like brought the Brazilians there, or he came there for that. But it was nice
Thanks.
because we saw the game. It was Palmeiras and Al Ali, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's been a minute since you've been on, but glad to have you back. TC Waj, what you guys get into this weekend?
I got one word for you, my friend. Kind of music. If you don't know, listeners, find out. That's all I got to say about that.
There you go, people. There you go. Half the team is commercialized and into the usual bullshits. Okay.
I mean,
No,
that's
no.
great.
In all honesty, I heard good things. I heard good things about this concert. It wasn't like the usual fakeness that's preceded the concert. I heard it's been good. So glad to hear commercial douches had a great time. And
Our token hater is back with so much energy.
so much.
So much hate.
I'm so excited.
So much hate in your heart.
Anyway, I would jump straight into the junkie. No. Go ahead.
But we are live. I want to thank everybody again for giving us a listen on Dim Boys Watch Footy. We have been growing on YouTube. Much appreciated for all the love over there. 1.15K subscribers right now, so it's awesome to see.
Hey,
We are steadily but slowly growing. We just hit the 400 subscriber mark on Spotify, so appreciate all the love and support from everybody. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us subscribe on any of the platforms that you listen to us on. And we're about to start off with Women's Euro. It was a really amazing match yesterday. Crystal, super sorry that your squad didn't make it through. But I did say I told you so.
I know.
I'm waiting for this. Hold it.
But I was miserable afterwards. Like Spain's PKs put me in the worst mood. I just couldn't believe they let me down, honestly. I think they just needed to finish the game in regular time.
For sure.
You know, but it was a great final. This was their first final, so they have this revenge history. They'll come back. They'll win it next Euro. I'm not worried about it.
That's a bold claim. Bold claim. First time since Germany back in 2013 that a European squad had won back-to-back within the Euro. So it's a really great thing. I knew one thing that TC did call out a couple episodes ago was penalty taking within the women's game. TC, I know you had a really strong point about how they're just shooting directly on their strong side, and the goalkeeper is just telling right off of that. So TC, I would love for you to take that away.
Look, I think from what I noticed from the semifinal rounds, I think the coaches had to have seen that because I did notice a slight change. However, majority of penalties, left or right, are going, depending if you're left or right-footed, are going to your dominant side as you kick it, which I was finding from the semifinals. It was like 95% of all kicks. This week, the percentages went down to about 87%, which I think was a slight variance. Specifically, it's weird because actually, that was lost. It was 85 and 87 last week. This week was 70, 85 and 76. So quite variance in that, but still very, very similar, almost very readable. Something to look about. But what I think Crystal and you guys were touching upon, I think that Crystal, you touched upon disappointing to many because Spain for the game looked like they had it. You know, they looked like they had. It kind of looked like almost technical versus straight grit and will. Do you know what I mean? Like you have the ability, the technical pizzazz, the skillful players versus just Gary Neville. Okay, it's pretty much Thierry Henry versus Gary Neville in the sense you have all the power, technical ability, and then someone who's just great, just wanting the grit and heart. You know what I mean? That's what I saw from England consistently.
You want to know a fun fact though, TC, about the penalties though? Hannah Hampton, the goalkeeper for the Lionesses, you know, she plays for Chelsea at 24 right now. She has strabismus, which is an eye disorder, an eye condition that actually affects her depth perception. And even with that, she's safe for. So
yeah, she was on it. She was on it.
This woman has legit gone through so much. She even was a striker, and now she's a goalie. Has an eye condition, and she still took them to the promised land. So I mean, can we just point that one out?
They said joy is what stole Spain's win, because at some point the pressure was just too heavy. If you look at them, it's essentially Barcelona. Barcelona choked last time against Arsenal in the Champions League, and
and what happened this time? Arsenal did it again.
You know,
come on, Leo Williamson. It's basically half the team was Arsenal.
yeah. I mean, look at Chloe Kelly. Like she was so satisfied. She was so satisfied.
That penalty was perfection, honestly.
Oh, that was cold.
It was like a golf kick. Like she knew exactly where she was going, leg straight up, top bins. It was great to watch.
Even the celebration was just like
she's just putting our face all in it at that point. Like I was crushed, so crushed, and I was like, this is just epic. Her sealing the win, her just always coming off the bench and saving England, right? And her just last thing she said.
Who are you referring to?
I'm sorry.
Who are you talking about?
Chloe Kelly.
Okay, yeah.
The Chloe Kelly, yeah. You know, shout out to her. I am a fan.
I think another shout out has to go out to the coach, Serena Wegman.
Yeah.
I think that regardless in any sport, any team game, to make 5 consecutive finals is hands down like Gyokeres territory. Do you know what I mean? Like, because that's like consecutive. It's quite clear a common denominator in terms of what that is, because players come and go. So do like staff and stuff like that. Usually, what you're seeing is a consistency of a manager who has processes in place that regardless of who comes to fill in at the squad, they are doing what is required, and it seems to be a winning formula. So I think you need to start looking at the coach, and start to ask a bigger question. Like, with this kind of success in the women's game, does it denote that she might be able to translate that into different teams, i.e. men's teams? Is there a discussion for there to be something around that? Now, don't get me sold there, you paternalistic fucking animals out there. I think what you're looking at, though, is a manager, regardless of sex in the game, who is identifying the opposition that is in front of her team with the players she has at her disposal. And I think that you could almost replicate that in almost any other coaching scenario, barring the emotional EQ you need to handle certain, the dynamics that come with, switching over. And I think, as I wrap up this point, an interesting point I wanted to make, the women's team, and I've been thinking about this quite a bit today, the women's team has had quite a few other male coaches, successful player coaches, who have been very well, very, very well, done well as players, and to some degree, Phil Neville, not so much, at other clubs as well, right? Yet they were unable, Phil Neville, to cross the line in the semifinals before Sarah Wagner came on. And then look at that. Now, obviously, the pundits out there might say he laid the groundwork. I don't believe that shit, because she's gone and taken 5 years on this. So just what I'm going to leave out that thought out there is, for you out there, is there a question for her to look at getting a job in the men's game with her being so successful with the natural game?
Anything's possible, honestly. I saw it within the men's basketball league within the U.S. When they were talking with the coach for South Carolina, Don Staley, with the New York Knicks. Like, there's still going to be like some big issues, no matter what, when you're trying to translate it from the women's.
What are those issues?
Men's game, huh?
What are those issues?
Oh, well, just the politics, especially with dealing with the owner, the optics of things as well. There are different issues no matter what, especially when you're coming into spaces that are normally dominated by men. Like, we know that is still something within a lot of spaces sports spaces specifically, and when you get into these higher up, more visible positions, it becomes a little bit even harder to keep pushing through.
100%.
But all we can continue to do is just keep putting people in these positions where they get the opportunities to actually interview, they get the opportunity to be able to speak with the media in crossing over, because you're going to have different questions to answer. So that's what we can do, and somebody's going to make the decision soon on having a woman being able to coach.
No, I agree, Eric. I think sports, and I'll end this point because it's something that I actually have been thinking about quite deeply, because sports is the one thing in which the qualifier we find in the playground is usually not race, geographical, but ability. You know what I mean? You are usually on the sports field. You are usually how cool you are is how good you are. As people who know this, like, that is kind of what translate into that. So I think about exactly, you are 1000%. We live in the real world. Let's not take that away. And I start to think about, like, if I had to put an example, and maybe it's not the best example because it's a very solo sport, but Serena Williams, if she had to have a coaching clinic, do you think that should be just as respected as, or if not more than, and I'm thinking about someone who's been Andy Roddick, a very good player, but nowhere near as successful in tennis as Serena Williams, albeit on different sides of the game. Now, do you think that a coaching clinic would be any more received by Serena than Andy Roddick, both freaking titans of the game in America? You know what I mean? So it's the kind of questions you want to think. So I think you're right. Definitely things like the social political things around that. And then you start to think, if she keeps winning, there's no ways, to your point, like, why not? Why not give her the opportunity? Or, what's the worst that can happen? You know what I mean? And if she's proven it there, why not? Crystal, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I just think there's different levels of professionalism, right? And we see it with the U.S. women's national team in terms of their national team. England is chasing that. Spain is chasing that. And then who comes next? Germany, their federation can't get it together in terms of those kind of social, economic politics, right? And it comes down to club football. Yeah. And then not only club football, even how you prepare with your national team, your talent pool, the depth of it. So, yeah, I think England, Serena Wiegman, she has her own blueprint of, like, how she's professionalized, just getting ready for these major tournaments. Mm-hmm. Now, this is Euros. Will they look the same for the World Cup? I don't know. What about the depth of their talent pool? I mean, they have somewhat of a pipeline, but their league is still just not as competitive as compared to, like, the NWSL. Yep. But then look at Spain. Spain's league has 12 teams, and it's so top heavy. It's only Barcelona and Real Madrid, right? And so, it just it's on its way. It's on its way in terms of what we're going to see of, like, national teams becoming more professionalized and not just one or two constants, right? Like the Nigeria, the USA, the England. You'll see more Morocco's actually succeeding. But that will have to, I mean, coaches just got to keep on stepping up. Yep. Show what you can kind of put together.
Look, I guess the next question is, where's the next, Serena Wiegman coming from? If we're talking about that, and we're here, guys, so let's forget, like, part of our idea is to find the grassroots and look at that here within America. Do you know what I mean? How do we replicate that in terms of we talk about players a lot, but the growth of the game also needs female managers, people who understand the players and, like we've just said, what they're looking for. So that's an interesting thing you just touched on, because it got me thinking about that is, that she's a great manager, but where is the pipeline of managers and growth and people to get the opportunities to learn and grow from that, here to help grow the game on grassroots level. And I think that we always talk about grassroots level, but we must, it's the whole game of grassroots level, not just on the field, off the field, behind the field, the business of football on the field, the content creators, the media. These are all things that are all part of the business of football, which is why we are able to do this. So we start to get into a really interesting realm where you start to look at, like, the pipeline across all things, where the opportunity for everything I've just mentioned in the business of football really needs to come through. Not just, we're talking specifically about managers and players, but if I'm honest, all things football. So all the things I've just mentioned need to have a pipeline for opportunity to keep consistency, growth, and learning, passing that knowledge across. So people like you and I, Crystal, PJ, we all get this knowledge. We're therefore growing, learning, passing it on as well. And I think that's what we're all trying to do in the business of football. Obviously football being a business, and I'm going to leave it there, there's always going to be gatekeepers of.
Yeah, it's always.
And that's where we start to get into America. Is our big thing is pay to
play for sure.
Yeah, pay to play.
That's a good point. We're going to have to jump on to our next topic. We're going to be talking about the Women's African Cup of Nations that also finished this past weekend. Nigeria, that was one I did call out. I said Nigeria versus Morocco.
You did.
That one. Nigeria was able to push it through. Very happy that Z in the squad over there for Nigeria.
Tell us about that game. Tell us about that game.
Goodness. Yeah, push it through. That's an understatement for what happened at that night.
Well, it was a push through. I mean, Morocco, they were the strongest team in the tournament. And Nigeria, those are the first goals that that was the only two. They gave up 3 goals the entire tournament. So
yeah,
it was an amazing defensive display, but as well, somehow, some way, they were able to make it happen. Morocco defeated Ghana before, and Nigeria had defeated South Africa. The only third-place match within any of these tournaments this past summer. Ghana came up on top over South Africa in penalties 4-3. So wanted to leave the floor to Waj for this one. Nigeria versus Morocco. What'd you see?
I mean, the game was crazy. I mean, honestly, by the 24th minute, Morocco had already scored two goals, with Chabak's goal and then Saudi. I think she scored in the 24th. And then, you really think they're going to be down and out. We get to the 64th. We go to halftime, and honestly, it looked like Morocco were going to take it. So, Nigeria were fighting back, but they really just could not get, hold of the game. And then whatever their coach told them in the change room, I would love to know what the coach told them, because they came out firing in the second half. Penalty, the 64th minute, and that was the game changer. Once they had that in, they went full steam ahead, and it was literally like, there's nothing to lose at this point. It's the final. You're 2-0 down. Time to put the pedal to the floor. So Ija Musi's goal, that was the 71st minute goal, was to draw it 2-2. Was fantastic. At that point, I honestly thought it was going to go to penalties. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I was like, this is going to go to penalties. Just like the last 2 matches, let's prepare for another 40 minutes. And then, boom, Jennifer Echigini's goal, 88th minutes, off a beautiful free kick cross. My goodness. And she just swept that thing, and talk about a golf just sweet. That was a thing of beauty.
Heartbreak though. I feel for those women though, being a host nation, losing in that manner, 2-0 up. If I was 2-0 up in the stands, I would have been like, you know what, I'll be back. I'm going to the bar. Let me get you anything.
100%. So go to Mitzi, go chill.
You know what I mean? I can imagine the football writers going, "Oh, what a great game! Great for the host nation!" Blah, blah, blah. And then boom! No. So I think the football. I keep saying this. Football is like life. It can kick you in the balls, or it can put you in the net. It can literally, you don't know which side you can land on. But what you saw there was this absolute seesaw of one emotions to an exertion of just, again, an example of this grit we keep seeing in this game, of just kept on going. What I'm loving in this female in both tournaments is a grit, determination that maybe we haven't given enough platform and media viewership to, that we're now getting to see, that we're definitely seeing within this. Again, Nigeria, just reaffirming their dominance in African football. I think that vindictive throughout, which is always great. Also, can we have a mention for their kids? Goodness gracious. Oh my God.
I said this in the beginning, that the AFCON had the best kits. But Nigeria's kids are always amazing.
Always.
Yeah.
But that's also
Campbell of freaking fashion on the football run all the time. It's literally, I want to OnlyFans that kit every time. I want to sign up $9.99 and I get it.
Pause, sir. Pause.
Hey, those kids. No, but but that AFCON win now makes it 10 AFCON wins for Nigeria, the most winningest team for the ladies for the Super Falcons. Again, I think a lot of it, going back to, I know we don't want to keep on talking about it, comes back to what we were just saying in the previous part about that pipeline. A lot of the Nigerian players, even though they're grown, a lot of them are from the diaspora. They've grown up all around the world, and plus Nigeria, but a lot of them have come to school here in the States to play, right? So a lot of these are NCAA players that have come up together, played together, and they've made the whole pipeline all the way from youth academies, wherever they could have been, to coming to the States for many of them, and the UK for some, of course, Nigeria. But coming through the NCAA program and being developed, where now they can go play together for their nation, as well as playing for some of the best teams, and the best clubs out in throughout the world. But they proved why they're the 10 times champions. They have got a very, very good system, particularly for the women. I think of how they go from academies to university. And many of them are also, they've got second careers that are, like lawyers, doctors.
Yeah.
Biochemists on the team.
And you know why? And you know why you're going to have it. Your mother said you're not going to play football for it. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Are you crazy? You are going to
engineer.
and then you can play this ball. So are you crazy? You must be. And I imagine. Just before you move on to the next thing, I think we touched on it. I touched on it quite a bit. We spoke about the attention and the Jamie Carragher said some shitty things about the AFCON.
Inside of AFCON, yeah.
Exactly. Now, did we see something similar happen in terms of the amount of I guess we want the amount of media attention towards the tournament, Other than what did you see? Did you see it broadcasted? Was there enough marketing towards it? Are we giving the women platform? The players, like you said, they play NCAA. Some of them play for Barcelona. It's not like they're foreign players just from a little, It's this. There is a slight, and I'm not going to call it, but there is this. Come on, people. There's a fucking shade over the tournaments that happen on the continent. Even though some of the great players play there, and this is my thing. Across both the men's and women's game, and everyone's called it in the men's game, but let's call it the women's game. Women already have a problem with the game. Yeah, we know that. But just for this microcosm of Africa, just looking at the two tournaments that were happening, I saw Euros on here. I didn't see nothing on the TV. I had to go find it. I had to go find it like I was Cecil John Rhodes trying to find something that someone else found and name it after Queen Victoria. Goodness gracious. This is what literally, that's what I had to do. I had to go find it.
Yeah, how important this media visibility is, so much so that what I found interesting was that there's only been 110,000 registered female players. That's it. Versus the men's side, there's 1 million.
Wow.
Right. And so I tried to do some kind of comparison of other federations, and what the African Football Federation is trying to do is just allow there to be some transparency and so there's more exposure of just like their efforts of like trying to recruit more players, so we can see how many African players are just like globally, right? They're trying to build their pipeline, and also just connect it even in the country as well, right? So that's just something I was like, wow, only 110,000. That's nothing.
That's nothing. That's a drop in the ocean.
Yeah. So, but I think every summer this tournament is going to be taking place. It's also a world qualifier as well. So, we just have to keep on marking it on our calendar.
Yeah, very true. No, just some final thoughts. It was, even though we knew that the Women's Euro was happening, we definitely tried to make sure that we would bring this up as much, just because the entire time I was just like, I just came from the continent. Like I enjoy football so much. Like I'm glad this summer of football has just been so inspiring for everything, and you're still seeing some just amazing things happen in both sides of the game. So I'm just got to give kudos to all the players that actually are giving a fuck about this right now. So.
And it's just gonna grow. I cannot wait. Like Chris said, for the next tournament. wherever they may be. You know, like this, we just need more of it, and more viewership, and more eyes on it.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Last thoughts on women's AFCON. Would love to hear from our listeners what they think about the women's finals that they saw this past weekend. If you're going to go to any of the matches that are going to be coming up within the United States with women's NWSL is going to be starting back up. We also know that the second tier within the U.S. is also going to start back up. Just got my notification from Brooklyn FC that game
Hey.
started up on August 23rd. So
Yes, indeed.
really excited that those are coming back. I know when I used to work with NWSL, we did the final last year in Kansas City. And I don't know where they're having the final this year, but
San Diego.
San Diego, nice.
Yeah.
So that should be a good one to go to.
Yeah, club football is back. You don't have to worry. Let's go. NWSL, like Oshwala, you'll see her there. There's so many people from the Euros, AFCON, play in the NWSL. It's you're not missing anything, honestly. If anything, I'm trying to watch more European football. So I'm trying to practice waking up early and do my due. But yeah, club football is here. Yeah, club football is here, so I'm ready.
You said European football starts at like 12. How early do you need to wake up? Huh? What time are you talking?
Oh,
what are you dragging?
Like I like to get up at least like 2 hours before I turn on the TV or something, or even touch media. Come on, like it's a balance.
Those 7:30 games are gonna hurt.
Yeah, those early games. I think it was nice with some of the games we've had over the summer. Let's be honest, to have them on this side at regular times has been really great. Like in the afternoon, kind of boding well. So I'm with you on that. I do know what it's like to hear about like people getting drunk at O'Halloran's at like 7:30 in the morning, and then 11:30 they're like, "Why are you up here? We're outside." You know what I mean? Like, no, dude, you just beat Tottenham.
Okay,
Shut up. Or like another 5 years.
Really hate
you know, like so. I've been really liking that. I'm not looking forward to going back to that because for the same reason. I like to kind of wake up and get into it. So waking up and go, "Oh, what is Man United going to do today?"
And on that note, we are going to start talking about European football.
Hey.
That just happened. A lot of matches that have been happening as well within the summer series. You have the matches that are going over in Asia right now with Newcastle versus Arsenal. Arsenal was able to win, but also got to do this bad boy. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you know what it is.
The man in the mask, Gyokeres, he is signed for Arsenal. We have our striker. Very happy to see. Other big transfer news that has happened. Spurs did the most Spursy thing. Morgan Gibbs White from Nottingham Forest. He was already, here we go. Fabrizio, you had a David Ornstein Bumba, and somehow, some way, the owner of Nottingham Forest said, "Nah, you ain't leaving," and that got called off, and he has now re-signed a deal to stay with Nottingham Forest until 2028. So you have that.
It's cold.
It's cold.
Is it a Spursy? Wait, hold on. Is that a Spursy thing, or is that a coup by Nottingham Forest to keep us pretty much try and keep a squad that did really good last year to build on? So you're saying because you're Arsenal fans and you're like haters, but
so I don't know.
No, I get that.
No. Hold on. No. The Forest lodged a complaint against Tottenham saying that it made an illegal approach to Morgan Gibbs White. Yeah. So that's not really a Spursy thing, but it's a Spursy thing that happened. I mean, but that's all Forest. That's just like Spurs.
I think it's not saying
they got kudos. It's okay, you know. They got kudos.
Like fair, okay. Anyway, yeah, I thought it was just interesting that with that sense. But like I think to be fair, like well done to Nottingham Forest. I think what they want to do is keep their squad as much as possible from what they had last year and build on that, finish in a good strong position, get some good PL money and strengthen the squad, and bring in unknowns or players with lower value that perform at high XP. It's pretty much like the stock market.
So they didn't intentionally delay the transfer?
I think when they put the complaint in, they said that they learned about the release clause illegally. Now, I don't know how you learn about a release clause illegally unless an agent
Yo,
player said something. So,
for real.
this
And it was
entire
the release was like 65, and then Levy bid for 60. Like, my guy.
It's the same thing that happened with Arsenal back when Wenger was trying to recruit Luis Suarez, and we did a 60+1.
Oh yeah, that's the Daniel Levy. Come on, Roger, you know Daniel Levy is pretty much, if you were gonna have anyone to negotiate, he is. I'm not gonna say any sort of things that will get me arrested, but he is the most shrewdest, tightest individual. This guy, and I know this for a fact. Okay, his daughter was like, "Dad, can I borrow £1?" He said no. So his daughter went to his wife, said, "Can I borrow £1?" She gave him £1. He then charged his wife £5 for giving his daughter £1. That is Daniel
Vig,
Levy.
baby. That's the Vig. The price is the price.
The price of the brick always going up, man.
And you know, it's another thing to bring up about Tottenham, which, let's talk about this, because this is going to be interesting. What happens is Son might be leaving.
Yeah.
As I predicted last season, that Son might be leaving at LAFC. But he could be moving on a free transfer. He's going to leave on a cut price, whatever it is. If he to come to the States, to LAFC.
Yeah.
It's either that or Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia has the money in hand to pay. But let's be honest: if Son comes to LAFC, his marketability will shoot through the roof. And he can finish his career, with the sunset, and he'll do very, very well. It is the marketing wise, it's a smarter idea. Paycheck wise, absolutely not. But I mean, I'd rather pay. And I mean, I think he has said.
I don't know. It's like would appeal to the American market. He's not outlandish. He's not Americanish.
He absolutely appeals to the American market.
So well. That's why Bale didn't do so well. Okay.
I will absolutely appeal to the Asian, especially to the Asian population out here. The Asian fans, will absolutely love Son. Anywhere he goes, let's be real. The Asian fans love him. We all love him, but his marketability is fantastic. And LA with what they have in South Korea is, pretty good place to move to. So it's a pretty good idea. But with all that being said, here's the issue: is that if he moves here, what's the highest that an MLS team has paid? I think it's no more than $23 million for a player. Son is worth over 40.
Oh my God!
I don't think so.
He's not going to go for free. He's not going to go for free. So
let's see what Daniel Levy does. What do you think, PJ?
Well, I mean, he kind of fell off last year. I think he only had 7 goals, so he's 33. I mean, I want to see him to come to MLS. I'm an MLS fan, and I don't think it's an unrealistic transfer. And like you're saying, Bale came, same team, around the same age. Won a championship with a beautiful header and said, "I'm out. I'm going to go play golf." So maybe it'll be the same thing.
Very true.
The only thing I can think about is what they did for Lionel Messi is obviously pair up. If it is, the thing is, it's not Lionel Messi. Let's be honest. The reason they did is they got from Apple, from Adidas, all to pay for his transfer fee. Whereas like Son is sponsored by Adidas, so there's a potential, but it's not. It wouldn't do that. Talking about big people leaving Arsenal clubs. What about? Leaving London clubs. What about that rumor about your linchpin? Yeah, your linchpin at the back. Imagine you getting a great forward, but then losing your best defender. That would be
Saliba's not leaving.
Right there. Yes, I hope it happens. Goodness gracious.
Real Madrid, you can step back. Real Madrid, please step back.
They actually have to spend money, and I don't see them spending money, especially if they also have to pay out a huge fee for him to also play for the team. The wages for the year is going to be insane, even though they make so much money. They act shrewd, so they might go for a Konaté from Liverpool. I think that's the much easier get for them, but I can understand why they would want Saliba. It's the Rolls Royce defender.
Yeah, of course.
They've already offered Arsenal over $100 million, and they said no.
Yep.
So.
That's
step back.
All that means is that they're like, yeah, we're not coming. We start now. January, we come back.
Then next contract.
We come back. It's like herpes. They never go away until your contract freaking runs down. Okay.
How do you know that, CC?
What about Real Madrid? They came for me. I see what you did there. No, but seriously, I think That's why
My question, though.
That's why, no offense to you guys and to us as well, is that when Real Madrid and Barcelona come, especially Real Madrid, they've switched their policy. They do this. They go fishing. And I mean, they won't get them because they're not going to, you're right, well, they're not going to spend 100 million. They go fishing, though. They start to plant the seed and they water that in there. So like I say, they water it down. They did it for Trent for 3 seasons. They did it to Mbappe for how long? You know, they did it to Cristiano. Cristiano had to sit down with Sir Alex Ferguson. He said, "You can give me one more season, boy." And that's what happened because they do that. They set the fish, and they are the. I hate to say it. They are the Rolls Royce at the top. So and
absolutely. My question, though, of all the transfers, because there are some, obviously, we're in like the rumor mill part of the transfer season. Is where is Alexander Isak gonna go? Do you think he's gonna stay at Newcastle, or is he gonna take that check and go play somewhere else?
I mean, Liverpool so far, Fabrizio has been saying he only wants them. I'm hopeful that we get a PSG coming out because if he goes to Liverpool, it is just going to be a very difficult season. Like,
I need him to leave the country, please.
Yeah, it's already tough. Like Manchester City's reinforced. Chelsea's world champions for the next 4 years. Arsenal, we probably second for the last 3 years.
Man United is the greatest club in the world in England.
Yeah, but I'm talking about what they've won recently, and Chelsea actually can say that they're world champions because they won the Club World Cup. So
you technically are, right?
Yeah,
the Club World Cup.
Yeah, I said the Club World Cup, but it's going to be really tough. But if he does go to Liverpool, I'm going to be a little bit sad, but it's a good challenge.
I mean, what kind of spending I want to know because is it just me? Because I mean, I'm from a poor club, so I don't know. But I mean, the amount of money that some of y'all are throwing around makes me feel I know exactly what it's like to have like the billionaires take from the rich, man. Huh? You guys from the poor, you guys, everyone just stacking up. Liverpool keep buying 100 million players. How many can they buy?
You just spent 130 million pounds.
Don't look at us, okay? We're on Snap benefits over here. We're on Snap benefits over here, okay? We're on housing over here. We're abusing. That's what
just putting it on the credit card.
You seen the roof. You said it last week. You seen the roof, so don't come to us and say nothing. You know, we're using our credit card. I'm borrowing crystals. I'm borrowing your credit card. That's how we pay for stuff. Don't look at us. But seriously, you said it last week. I'm flabbergasted at the amount of money that the two. I know that we have to reinforce and everything. But the clubs are not messing about this season. Is it just me? But it feels like people are not afraid. It's like, you know what? We got Elon money everywhere.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, the top 4 clubs have all strengthened. You know, if Isak leaves Newcastle, what that does though, what does that say for Newcastle, who were pushing for top 4? Who was a 20 goal scorer? What does that say for your team and for you as your ambition for the season? That's where you got to look at it. Can you afford to let him go for the money? And who do you get in to replace? Let's be honest, peeps, who's out there? Okay. The other thing is, I say that facetiously because you don't look at the top 10 when you have that kind of money. You can strengthen 4 or 5 players and get really, really good position for depth. They are playing the Champions League, which they will need to do. But they also have Saudi, man. So, but I think well, that's the other thing. So, what they could do is exactly like use that money to spread it across what they did at Tottenham when they sold a Bale, or be solid, have ambition, be committed to what you have, say no, put your heels in, spend where you need it, strengthen your other areas, and push on again. That's what Newcastle fans want. The difference you must understand, peeps, is like Saudi Arabia is great. Newcastle is a one-team city, okay? One of the very few, a one-team city. Newcastle lives and breathes football. It's an amazing atmosphere. So, you know, yeah, I get it. You know, he's Swedish, so he's used to the cold up there. Come on. You know what I mean? Like, it's like in terms of footballing, you're playing champion. Are they playing Champions League this season?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're playing Champions League this season.
Great,
go to Saudi Arabia, cool, get the bank, but you're finally playing Champions League in a city that craves it. I would go one more season. You play well, you get them what you want. You could have that. This could all be negotiating powers, you know, and that's what I'd use the leverage for. I'd say, look, guys, I've got 3 years left in my contract. I'll give you one more year. You sell me next year. Hopefully, I get to play and I get to go to a club that I want to go to. But we all get a win-win next season, you know. That way you get money for me and I get paid for Champions League in it for Newcastle because they're going to need a squad and they're going to need players. That's my feeling on Newcastle. That's why I think it might be. Eddie Howe might say, fuck that. I'm not Arsenal.
We'll see. I mean, you have Sesko that would be a perfect replacement for him. So we'll see. You can use that money that you get from Liverpool or from PSG, from Saudi, reinvest, try to just keep going because they need reinvestment in the squad. But don't want to linger too much on this topic as we want to get to our final piece, which we're going to be talking about the Leagues Cup. One thing that I've really been loving about MLS, and this is going to be a two-parter. Two things that I really think we need to talk about, especially PJ and I working with MLS, how long we did. You have the Leagues Cup coming up. You have MLS versus Liga MX, which is really dope. You get the crossover celebration between Mexico and the U.S., and you get some really good matches out of it. One of the first ones that's coming up is going to be LAFC versus Pachuca on Friday, which I'm very excited to watch. But one thing I'm not excited about is how MLS has not been doing well within the entire media space. I know we were talking about the business of football earlier, but it has been really tough to see how a league that has been constantly growing, they sold themselves out for Apple to have that continued money stream. And it's not doing well. Crystal, I got to give NWSL some amazing credit. What NWSL has been doing, exporting their product to the world, they have 189K viewers per week compared to MLS, who's only 130K per week. And that's crazy because right now Apple has the most like open space for subscribers. No one's subscribing, and no one's subscribing specifically for MLS. So I'm excited about the fact that we're getting more export of the MLS product, but I am not excited about how things are moving. So kind of want to throw it over to PJ really quick because he's also been in the trenches with me, making those phone calls, trying to get people to come to matches. So PJ, want to start with you?
Yeah, that's a good point. I definitely want to hear what Crystal has to say as well. But one thing the MLS has done well is attendance. I was very worried about them expanding, and all the new teams have done very well with their attendance. And the MLS is now borderline top 10. The last couple of years, top 10 attended leagues in the world. But to your point, the casual fan, the TV ratings haven't been there. So how many casual fans are going to be watching the Leagues Cup? I mean, I'm not a casual fan, so I will, but my friends that I talk to about soccer, are they going to be watching it? Probably not, but that could change. I mean, it's definitely doing better than the Superliga, which I think ended right before we worked for MLS. So, what we learned with the Club World Cup is it comes down to money, and if the money's there, then the teams will take it seriously. I think the total prize pool is about $40 million. For the context, the FIFA Club World Cup was about $1 billion. So there's money to be made, but not quite that much. I wonder, I assume everyone's going to be sending their full squads. It'll be interesting to see if DePaul will start playing. I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
Just on that money thing, I think it goes hand in hand, right? So Apple, and if we look at Premier League, it's a comparison, right? To compare it, the money that comes from each club gets comes from the viewership from the TV deal. And like you rightly said, by them switching from that deal to Apple, they've lost viewership. Now, what does that mean? Less people are paying, like you said, subscribing to it. So there's less money or value to Apple to put money into the MLS, unfortunately. It's like a caving thing. They're like, I'm not going to put more money in. There's no value. Last year, you're doing better when you sold it to me. I bought it based off that. My investment has decreased. So it's hard to see that. So the question I want to start asking, and maybe, and Raj and Crystal, you guys can touch on this next, is what we look at? Is this a problem because of the platform? Is Apple subscriber, is it too exclusive to access? Is it not doing enough?
Does anyone here have Apple TV? I'm curious.
I do.
One out of 2 out of 5.
Yeah,
I've never turned on them in this game on Apple. I gotta tell you, like,
me too. I watch highlights. I don't watch highlights. Sorry, I watch when I can because it's the access there, right? But is it because? And then I want to know the difference in teams. Is there a Caitlin Clark in only Messi and Inter Miami? Because I know that with tickets for the games, it has a very Caitlin Clark effect when Messi comes. Like the tickets go up for Inter Miami, and if he's injured, they go down. Okay,
All-Star game.
Also, exactly. Roger, Crystal, yeah. So that's kind of like my thing. Where do we go from here in terms of what do we do for that?
Yeah, I'm a very casual fan when it comes to MLS. So even just trying to get like Apple subscription and to just watch it is a no-go. Just to kind of share background, I have Roku. I think I've seen a couple of MLS on Ion, right? So I just think there's still so many casual fans that MLS needs to focus on like making it accessible and less exclusive. I think that's where NWSL has had a lot of grace as well, because everyone complains about there's so many subscription platforms, which everyone already has. However, you can go to Ion and they'll have a Saturday night, 7 p.m. prime time football match to watch, right? And even the WNBA has been super successful with making their games accessible for the casual sports watchers, no matter men or women, right? And I think regarding this League Cup, I mean, I don't know what that's going to be like for the Spanish teams, Liga MX, but I know they'll bring the energy. I don't know what their broadcasting is like. And I feel like we just still have a lot to learn MLS wise from like other cultural leagues and how they develop their fandom. Who knows how people watch over in Mexico.
I mean, a lot of it is still through like Telemundo, Univision. Like, they still have good deals. Mexican League has a lot of money. It's not really invested in the. I don't know how to say this without sounding a little bit too crazy, but it's not really invested back into the squads as well as it used to be. Mexican League used to invest very heavily within their youth development system and being able to bring over a few exports. Now it is a lot more exports, a lot less Mexican national team players. So it's something to really look out for, especially if a squad from Liga MX does win the League's Cup. But PJ, you have something that you wanted to drop in?
I just want to hear if anyone had any predictions.
That's what I was going to ask. Who would
I'll go first. I like Inter Miami. I thought they played pretty well at the Club World Cup. They had a bad loss to PSG, but that's PSG. So I think a lot of the MLS teams that didn't do well might try to rebound and show that, hey, we can compete. So I like Inter Miami. Toluca is looking good in Liga MX too. Do you guys have any insight on this?
I would go with Club America. I'm really liking how they're rocking right now. The other squad that I'm really looking out for, obviously, is LAFC. I mean, their squad has been kind of humming along this entire season, so I'm really excited to see how their team is going to really push forward. They have a really good defense. Goalkeeper, awesome from Hugo Lloris, so I'm going with them. Those two in the final. Anybody else?
I'm going for NYCFC.
Okay.
That's it.
Out of just pure like excuse my ignorance, but yeah, out of pure like ignorance for the MLS and the Liga MX, I'm going for NYFC, Atlanta, because I've always just liked the color. And I want to see what LAFC is gonna pull up. But Inter Miami, of course, is gonna be Inter Miami. But yeah, I think this is gonna be just a fun bunch of games to watch.
Great, nice predictions there. Why that would you?
Right. Yeah, I give you everything and nothing.
Looking at the odds, I think FC Cincinnati as well, one of the teams that beat Inter Miami as well. Definitely one of those to look out for. I think, like you guys have all mentioned, the pink team over there with that guy with the left foot. I was going to get started. I saw a whole thing about Messi's like his favoritism towards him, like absolute favoritism towards him in terms of fouls, everything, just absolute. But yeah, I think you've mentioned all the teams there, but a notable one is FC Cincinnati, who they've given out at odds of 1 to 1,000. So kind of not bad, but something worth putting money down. $10 down, hey.
I feel it. All right.
Some sprints.
Yeah, it should be. But want to thank everybody today for giving us a listen to Jump Boys Watch Footy. We have Crystal, we have TC, Waj, PJ, your boy E. Thank you all. Have a great one.
Thank you. We out.